Good evening, I'm Joe Cruz, and welcome to Brevard Notes. Tonight I have with me Keira Gillett. She is a children's book author, and you've done a trilogy. Please tell me about it. It's, how do we say that?
It's the Zaria Fierce Trilogy. My main character, her name is Zaria Fierce.
Okay.
And her name basically came about because I wanted her first name to mean something. So when you look up the meaning of her name, it means princess, just like Sarah. And
oh, okay.
yeah. And then her last name, Fierce, is where I wanted her as a character to end up. She starts off feeling very timid. She's very bookish. And so this is her story about how she goes from being timid to being this brave, courageous girl who goes out and meets dragons.
Now, I was trying to get through your third book, and the impression I got was she's about maybe like a middle schooler.
Yep, she's
right, and she's at that age where she's starting to try to develop herself into who she's going to be as an adult, right?
Yes, that's exactly where she's at. She starts off turning 13 in book 1, and she's not quite 14 in book 3, but she's very close, and so are the rest of the kids.
And this has been a real whirlwind for you. You have created 3 books, and now I believe as of July 1st, was it? Mm-hmm. Your third book has come out.
Yes.
And as I understand it, you use the internet as well as traditional publishing to distribute your books.
Yeah, I like to use Amazon as my base. They have ebooks, audiobooks, and print books, although the audiobook for book 3 is still in production. I'm really excited for it because Michelle Carpenter is doing a fantastic job. I love all of her character voices.
And well, you answered my next part of the question, which is, how's this experience been for you?
Well, just like you said, whirlwind. I mean, the idea came to me late, 1.5, 2 years ago, and it was typing it up, and then it was finding all the correct people to work with for my illustrator, my editor, and my narrator, and I found everybody basically through the internet. Like Owen Kerrigan, he is my illustrator, and he's from Kildare, Ireland, and I have never met him in person, but we chatted through email, and he agreed to do my books, and his artwork is fantastic.
It certainly is, and our director will occasionally be putting in some of the fine pen and ink, or is it pencil and paper?
It's pencil, it's graphite pencil that he uses, and you can't see it in the final production pictures that go into the book, but he actually uses underdrawing colors of either blue or orange.
Oh, really?
Which is really cool to see because I get to have them in person.
Oh, you'll get to keep those as mementos, I guess,
yes,
to a certain degree, yeah. And then, of course, you found your narrator, since it's also now published in audiobook form, correct?
Mm-hmm. And she's from Tennessee, and I've never met her in person either, but, you know, we talk all the time. I consider her a real good friend, and, like, one of these days I'm going to definitely go up and meet her.
Oh, well, definitely, and I recommend visiting Ireland as well.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
When I was your age and a bit younger, by then I had visited Ireland 4 times. And
wow.
if you ever run out of folklore in Norway, where we're going to be talking about next, you have plenty to pick up in Ireland. Now, your books take place in Norway. Now, how did you come up with that? Why Norway?
Well, Norway was a bit of something that I kind of stumbled into. I was like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Mm-hmm. I started her off in Russia, which just seemed a little too harsh and a little too maybe foreign to my U.S. audience and myself, really, even though I've actually gone to
scary.
Russia.
Like, what was her name? Baba, the witch who lives in the walking house and eats children.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll go and I'll move it to Canada. It's a little bit more comfortable. Kids kind of have been there, or they know about it a lot more. And then I felt, well, that was maybe a little bit too friendly, you know. So I kind of was thinking about all my different favorite places that I wanted to go see that were in the north, and I came upon Norway, and it was like, this is the perfect porridge and the perfect bed, you know, the perfect chair. I was like, everything just fell into place. And Olaf, who is the bad guy, the troll that she meets in book 1,
Right.
he appeared on the page the minute I figured out that the book was taking place in Norway, which was the one thing that was keeping me back from writing the book in the first place, is because I didn't have my bad guy. Who was he? What did he want?
Well, you got to have a good bad guy.
You do. It's very important. If you don't have that antagonist, the protagonist doesn't have something to work against or to work for, you know.
Yeah, sometimes, especially in the movies, sometimes they make the bad guy too good, and then you think the hero is like, well, anyway, that's beside the point. All right. So, tell me about the folklore. I know they've got a lot of it.
Oh, I do. I have a lot. So I'm wearing the necklace that has antlers on it, and it signifies the Elefoken. And they are this race of beings that I have made related to elves. And they are actually the traditional folklore for it is that they are girls who can turn into adder trees. And so I was like, so to me the question was, well, you can't have a species of just girls. So what's the folklore? How are the males involved in the species? So I limited it to 3. There's only 3 of them. That's why you never see them.
Okay.
You know, and so one is Heart, and one is the Stag Lord, and one is the Golden King. And all 3 are important to the telling of the story, and they all have different purposes for what they fulfill for their people. So, and that's pretty cool. And then you said other folklore that I bring in. So I bring in giants. And there's 5 tribes of them, and 3 of them live in Norway, 1 of them lives in Finland, and another tribe lives in Sweden. And they all kind of interact with each other, and I made them these big, tall creatures, because of course they're giants.
Well, yeah, that kind of comes. I mean,
with the territory.
A wide giant really wouldn't work, I think.
No.
Well, they might work, but you have a hard time getting around.
So then the question to me was, well, how do I want them to be for everybody? Like, are they as tall as mountains? And I thought, well, no, because then they're kind of hard to hide. So I was like, but they could be made out of the mountain material. And then they could blend in with the mountains and their surroundings. So that's what I did. I made them the height of trees. So they're bigger than humans, and therefore they can be called giants. But then I made them out of rocks and moss and grass, so that way when people saw them, if they were still, you couldn't see them in the countryside. And that was really cool to me.
You're walking by a hill, and it turns out to be a sleeping giant.
Yep, exactly. Or maybe 3 of them. You never know.
And then, I'm going to try hard, wyvern.
Yes.
What is wyvern?
Wyverns traditionally are 2-legged dragons with wings. And I wanted to have hybrid dragons in the story, because dragons are another creature, and they're big and they're fearsome. But I wanted kind of a counterpoint, so that way you can have ones that you can meet and ride, and so
kind of approachable, the size of a horse, maybe.
Sometimes a little bigger, maybe the size of a bear. Small elephant, something. And
they got wings?
Some of them do. The winter wyverns do. And they are part snow leopard, part bear, part reptile, and they have bat wings. So those are the ones that you can ride and fly.
That is what I call a hybrid. Wow.
And then you meet, actually, in the 3rd book, a different type of wyvern. And that one is a water wyvern, and that's part seahorse, part shark, part eel. And
you're having fun with this, aren't you?
I have a lot of fun. You should really see what Owen has done with those concepts. Like, he really figured out how to match all those.
He reads like, oh my God, how am I going to do this one?
I think he probably saw it as a challenge. And, I think he had a lot of fun with it, to be honest. I mean, you can tell he loved to draw the creatures just by looking at them, all the detail he puts into the series. It's just wonderful.
Well, that's fun when you have the basic material and then you just let go.
Yep, creative license.
Created, yeah. I wonder what the Sphinx would look like with bat wings. Well, anyway, moving right along, what gave you the inspiration for the 3 dragon brothers?
Oh, okay. So there's 3 dragons that are the original 3 dragons in my trilogy. And they are named Kol, Egil, and Fridtjof. And they all have their meanings in Norwegian. They all mean something. So Kol means dark. So to me, he was the idea that there's something other than good out in the world, and that you have to face it. And then Egil means fear, basically. and Fritjof is the thief of peace, so I turned him into chaos.
Okay.
So that's what they mean, and together they are like the original three things you have to face in your life in order to be a successful, courageous, and brave person, which I thought was perfect for Zaria and her friends.
Now, are they good guys or bad guys?
The dragons?
Dragon Brothers, yeah.
Oh no, they're bad guys.
They're the bad guys.
They are the bad guys.
Them and Olaf go and make her life difficult.
Yep. In fact, about 1,000 years ago in the trilogy, the entire magical realms of Norway got together and they pooled all their resources and talents in order to trap the dragons in this place called the Underrealm. It's a place that was created by the fairies, that is protected by the elves and the Elefoken, and the dragons themselves were captured and chained using dwarf technology, their ore and their mining techniques. And then the guardian of all of that is the sorceress named Queen Helena, and she's in charge of making sure the dragons never escape and get back out into the world, because they would cause all sorts of problems for everybody.
It's a beautiful classic, capturing evil, containing it, and then some idiot comes along and opens the door.
Pretty much. kind of a bit like maybe Pandora's box.
There's a good one.
But if you don't know you're opening it, and that it's a door you don't want to open, what happens?
Pretty chest box, it's like, oh, what the... Now, it seems like, and this is an understatement, you know the characters pretty well. Now, the lady hero in this, Zaria.
Yep.
Zaria. What is her favorite smell?
Her favorite smell is the smell of books. If it's an old book, she loves it because it smells musty. It smells like adventures already had. And if it's a new book, it smells like adventures that you're about to go on. And both of them pretty much excite her because she's a very big bookworm.
She must love libraries.
She does, and she probably has one or two or several in her house with, books piled high by her bedside.
Well, I can almost guess the second one, but what is her favorite activity?
Well, it's reading. She loves to read, but she also enjoys some other things, like she enjoys maps. She really enjoys the antique maps, and so when she was moving from place to place, her parents would always purchase her a set of maps so that way she could kind of make her own fantasy adventure for where she was about to go next.
I can relate to that. I love old maps. You can learn so much from them.
And they're so cool looking. That's why in the backgrounds of all of the book covers, there's a bit of map cartography going on. So you can kind of make out little elements here or there for different map symbols.
In the third book, Zaria uses her magic to provide the group with meals. Is this because you don't like to cook?
Actually, no, but I can cook. And so for me, the perfect magical gift would be to be able to whip up a meal without having to do much effort and then clean it up by the same thing. I mean, that's why I love Samantha from Bewitched and Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie.
Well, that's why we have the Publix deli.
That's true. Publix has some very good deli stuff, yes.
Sorry, that wasn't a plug for deli, their deli. I just intend to go get some fried chicken after the show, which is my habit. I just love their fried chicken. So, oh yes, did I remember to ask you what you would want her to create for you to eat?
I think I would love for her to create for me my favorite meal to eat at the holidays. And that's shrimp Dijon. It's not very traditional. It's very French. It's shrimp and butter and breadcrumbs.
Oh,
and lots of
that. That could work. I kind of like that, yeah.
And then you just pair it up with either your mashed potatoes
and when
or
it comes to what is traditional, it depends on the culture, doesn't it?
Yep.
Could you elaborate on the golden shoes in the title of the third book?
Oh, of course. So the golden shoes that are referenced in the third book is the locking mechanism that goes on all of the dragons. These shoes are important to the protection of the world because when they're in place and locked, they can never come off. And they're magic to this wild bridge.
Oh, is this like the shoes, it's like the old joke about alligator shoes? These are actually shoes on the dragon? The dragon's wearing these shoes?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So they wear these shoes, and they can never take them off themselves. They don't have the power to do that. That's why they're a perfect locking mechanism. But they're very wily, so they will find other means to either convince you to let them go. They're very good at manipulating people, or they'll band together. If you let them have a little bit of their strength back, they will do what they can to get out, because they don't want to stay prisoners. That's not their ideal setup in life.
Yeah, nobody wants to be a prisoner. No one wants, everybody likes to be free, and I guess even dragons gone bad, they must also want to break loose.
Yep.
Of course, it could be relative. What's good for a dragon isn't
good for the rest of us. No, no. This is the, let sleeping dragons lie.
Now, in many instances within the book, the parents are sacrificing a lot for their children. Would you elaborate on that theme and why you think it's important for young readers?
I think it's important for kids to know that their parents really do a lot for them. And it was also important for me that the kids liked their parents, that their parents liked their kids. It's a mutual love and respect sort of thing. I mean, of course, you're going to have your little scuffles and hiccups because, the kids are growing. They're testing their limits, as it were. But I created this device to help them get away from their parents without, causing their parents undue alarm at their absence.
Yeah, I noticed, was it Grandma or Graham?
Yes, Alex's
kind of
grandmother.
Covering for the kids. I got the impression in the story that the parents thought they were visiting her, and they were kind of like having a holiday in the woods, or kind of like summer camp kind of thing.
Yep.
And they didn't know that they were in a different dimension, in a magical kingdom.
Yes, exactly. So the parents think that all is well and that they don't need to worry about their kids. And that's because of a different thing. So like when the stargazer is turned on, it basically freezes in place everybody who is non-magical.
Right.
And unless you're touching the device when it goes off, you're also frozen. So this is how the kids can all kind of figure out how to go on the adventures together, is because they'll all either touch the device or hold each other's shoulders. Bless you. And
Thank you.
So that's how they're able to go on the adventure and not get stuck with their parents. But when the device is turned off, the time stream comes right back into place, and everybody's memories are a little bit hazy. So when you ask yourself as an adult, well, what did I do this weekend? It seems like it went by so fast, and my work week is just so long. Like,
the human memory can be like that, and there are times, as you get older, you go back and you're not quite sure if you got that part of the memory right. There's a little fuzzy around the edges. So yeah, I can see where that would be the effect of the magic.
Yep.
Kind of like that lost time syndrome.
Exactly.
That people have now and then.
When it comes back on, you can be like, oh, you don't remember that you said that we could do this? You totally gave us permission. We're not breaking any rules per se.
So what do you say then? So the theme of parents sacrificing, actually I think a lot of kids can relate to that. I think they know that sometimes they can't always get the toy they want, or that sort of thing. And then you have other themes that go throughout your whole trilogy. I'm beginning to pick up on it, but break a few down for us.
Okay, well, some of them is girl power. That's Zaria's entire arc.
Oh, she's definitely the leader in this whole thing. Yeah.
Right. So she, and it's about her learning that she, as herself, is a powerful person, and not necessarily because she has magic, but because she's willing to do good and to be the best person she can be. And then you have theme of friendship. Like the friends are really fantastic together. They all kind of meld, and they all support each other. And there's flaws in each of the characters, but they kind of forgive each other for them, and they move beyond that. And they're stronger as a unit than they are separate. And that's because nobody's an island. And I felt that was important because your character isn't going to be isolated on an island alone, unless you're...
Yeah, and although it's important to be, independent and strong, and in real life, it isn't the lonely hero. It's actually the team, the people coming together, the cooperation.
Yeah, and sometimes that team is your family. Sometimes that team is your friends, and sometimes it's the team that you have at work or in other areas of your life. It's about being able to work with everybody. And
Well, we're coming up on the 4-minute count toward the end of the show, so I better pick up the pace a wee bit here. Okay, we call it themes. Okay, when you were growing up, did you know you wanted to be a writer?
ooh, that's a tough one because as I grew up and I was in elementary school, I did write books because I had a wonderful teacher who let us all use the computer and write these little stories. And one of them actually won at the school level for an award. And my mom still has that book. It's a treasured keepsake.
Oh, you were already starting to write back then?
I was, even as young as first grade. But I didn't really pick it up seriously again until I was working on Zaria. So I think my childhood self knew, but then I kind of lost her as I grew up a little bit until I found her again.
Now, how does your training in art and as a technical librarian help shape the trilogy? And that's actually a kind of an interesting combination, art and a technical librarian. How did that help?
Okay, so in my work as a technical librarian, I also get an opportunity sometimes to do technical writing. And it allows me to see how to do the formatting. And so that kind of gave me a leg up, basically, as a self-published author, is I knew how to do the formatting and to have it correctly viewable on the different ebooks and the print format, and I could do that. So that was my leg up for myself. It allowed me to kind of skip several steps that other authors might have to go through. And then as an artist, it really helped me think about the product, the books as a whole. Like, that's why I knew I wanted an illustrator, because it makes the book more alive. That's why I knew I wanted a narrator, because it brings such vivid moments to listeners and readers to have these other elements.
Yeah, by having a separate illustrator, I can see where that would work, because you focus your creativity into the writing of the story itself, but then when you get the different perspective of someone who's actually read the writing, you know, you can never actually objectively read your own work.
Exactly.
You know what it could have been, what it might have been, what you might have, where you changed, you know, all those factors along the line. And so, yes, getting an independent illustrator is really good. And I think we mentioned him. That was
Owen Kerrigan.
You met him over the internet in Kildare?
Oh, well, that's where he lives.
Yes.
Yeah, in Ireland.
Yeah. So, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to repeat once more that his artwork is fantastic. If you guys want to check out the print or the ebooks, you'll find his artwork in them.
Oh, he's definitely a fantastic illustrator. I've not seen such good work. Now, let's see. I think we're going to have to skip a question and go to the third question, which has to do with the third book. I mean, is this the end of the trilogy?
It is the end of the trilogy, but it's not the end of the story.
Oh.
So I don't want to be too teasing, but one of the other kids, he is going to take the center stage, and the next 3 books are going to focus on him and his story arc, what he has to grow up and learn about himself in order to be a strong and independent character. And I think that's going to be really interesting.
Now, in closing, let's tell them how to get your book.
Okay, you can find the Zaria Fierce Trilogy on Amazon.com, and if you look up my name, Keira Gillett or Zaria Fierce, I'll pop up, and you'll be able to order in the format of your choosing, which is ebook, audiobook, or print. So
3 different choices. And, you know, what I love about the audiobook is you can, I don't think it's distracting when you're listening to a book and driving, but it's always great for when you're on traveling around.
Yes.
You know?
And if you ever need a bedtime story, Michelle Carpenter is your gal to listen to.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for our interview. Please stay tuned.